Well, the Vancouver Whitecaps have already captured a trophy this week. They'll be trying to make that a second on Wednesday in the TELUS Canadian Championship final. Over the weekend, they were at Lumen Field in Seattle. They drew with the Sounders to solidify their claim to the Cascadia Cup, but it wasn't without a little bit of drama as well. These Whitecaps, they seem to be cursed in some ways, blessed in so many, but cursed when it comes to injuries. Brian White scores in the game and had to leave shortly thereafter with an injury. And afterwards, I wouldn't say that Jesper Sorensen, who was a very even-keeled man, was particularly enthused by what he had seen, saying it didn't look great. Is that gamesmanship? Who's to say? But what is clear is that this is a Whitecap side that has been decimated by injuries. We think about the fact that they are still very much in a supporter shield hunt. They have 3 matches left. They trail the Philadelphia Union by 6 points. But Gareth, this list of knocks and niggles and long-term setbacks is long. Is that going to derail their chances to make a splash in MLS Cup?
I think so. If they don't have Brian White, their talisman, many even scored before he went off. I mean, the complexion of this team is just very different. I understand that Muller has done very well. He's dealt with some issues of his own just in terms of overall fitness. Ryan Gauld, we think he might see the field at some point before the end of the year. But, I mean, he's jumping on a moving train. Like, players right now at this time of the season, like the best teams are good to go and they're fit enough. Ralph Priso's playing center back. So although this team has all kinds of talent, players continue to step up. When you lose both of your starting center backs, you lose your number 9, you lose the backup center backs. Halbuni didn't even play on the weekend. You're playing without your preferred starting left back in Atakubi for the duration. It's just how many hits can you take and you can stay on top? I still think they can be competitive. I still think that they can push other teams. I just look at what LAFC is doing right now. Like, you look at that in the Western Conference, a bogey team for the Whitecaps as well. They're just not on the same level as an LAFC right now. If they were fit and good to go, then that's a different argument. But it's just at least 1 or 2 too many for me. And no Brian White. I mean, this could be absolutely catastrophic just in terms of pushing for a trophy in MLS play. And that makes Wednesday's Canadian Championship that much more important for this team to go on and win it and punch their ticket to the CONCACAF Champions Cup next year and ensure themselves some silverware on what has been a very, very good season, but one that seems to be crashing to a halt rather quickly here, just based on how decimated they are.
And yet, Jordan, and yet, despite the final, the one that they probably won't remember too fondly, we haven't really seen this team faceplant when they've been given every excuse and opportunity to do so. Can they galvanize? Can they find a way? Ralph Priso looked like he was playing center back for years against the Sounders. I mean, this team, they just keep chugging along no matter what you throw at them.
I'll say when you're a real footballer, though, you can always plug in and play a CB role once, twice, maybe. That's just my take. If you really play footy, you can do it. If you have to do it for a season, that's a different story.
Jordan, you've done it.
That's a different story. When you have to do it for a full season, you're like, when you see these rapid strikers running at you week in and week out, it's different. But Ralph Priso is a true baller. I will say, to Wheels' point, it hasn't just rained for Vancouver Whitecaps. It's poured. The injuries, like, there's no reason they should be doing as well as they have because the MLS is a league of stars. I think also this time as well, you have to have your best players when you're trying to go for a supporters shield, when you're trying to win an MLS Cup. And look, this is no shade on the players that have gotten them to this point, but they aren't the best players. The Gaulds, who hasn't played since March, the Brian White, like, these are the guys and the names that you're talking about, Mueller coming in. And the fact that they're not healthy at this point, I mean, you kind of have to be like, okay, well, Whitecaps, do as well as you can. But then on the other hand, I'm looking at it, I'm like, they still keep finding a way to get into finals, to play in big games. And the week where I'm going to look at scores and be like, okay, they're going to fall off, they get a result. So I'm backing this Whitecaps team. There's obviously something, whatever meal plan they're on, whatever chef is cooking up in that kitchen, it's working for them. So hopefully they don't run out of steam. They wait until December to really plateau when the season's over. But right now, I just can't bet against these Whitecaps. Like, they just look like a team that's destined to win 1, maybe 2, 3, potentially. So I like their chances.
But what I mean, they're 6 points back of
Yes.
Philadelphia right now. They do have a game in hand. I mean, doesn't that seem like a bridge too much right now, considering they have the midweek game in the Canadian Championship? And look, Jesper Sorensen might elect to rotate a little bit, but how deep is he rotating? Like, it seems like he's rotating at a necessity now already on Wednesday just to keep players fresh. So whereas two teams over the next couple weeks just have two games to play, the Whitecaps have the extra game in MLS. I believe they play on national team duty as well. Is that correct? I believe. Let me just go and
the Union
this.
have left New York City FC on the 4th, and then they have 2 weeks off before their season finale against Charlotte on the road. The Whitecaps, as you mentioned, have the 4 when you include Wednesday's Can Champ, and then yes, that match in Orlando will be during the international window.
So can Jesper Sorensen pull rank here and say, Ali Ahmed, Jaden Nelson, I want you to stick around? And not go play for Canada in that window. I believe that Ryan Alumi is being called into the Tunisia under 23s or something like that. Is Berhalter, is he going to get called into U.S. camp? Then they're playing against Orlando with a side that's already decimated, and you need to go a little bit deeper. Therein is the problem here. Like, they've run out of games, back-to-back draws, really hurts them. They need to play stupidly during an international window. So there goes Supporter Shield. And then on top of that, MLS Cup, is this team right now, the way that Boanga and Son are scoring goals for fun, and this LAFC team look like world beater, all of a sudden their window goes down from, they're competing for 3 to Wednesday night, you better go out and win that game comprehensively. So I'm just saying, and by the way, this is no disrespect because none of these other teams are dealing with what the Whitecaps have dealt with. This is just the harsh reality of just a number. If they had kept Blackman and White healthy here for the run in the season, I could make the argument that this would have been a different case. But lose those two, another center back, and your number 9, a guy that scored 20 goals all comps this season. It's just come on, man. This is just, it's become bleak.
What I will say of all of this is there's always a chance, and if Jesper Sorensen does not win Coach of the Year, it is an absolute travesty as a first-year manager. All of the things.
Carnell, they're just gonna. I agree with you, Adam. But Bradley Carnell, if you're the Union where they were last season, and taking a team to win a Supporter Shield, or expansion side, if San Diego can hold the Whitecaps off and win the West, those two guys are going to get a whole lot of votes as well. But I agree with you. Based on context, it should be Sorensen.
All right, it's going to be a fascinating few weeks for the Vancouver Whitecaps, including on Wednesday night. That covers off Vancouver, so now let's talk about Vancouver, who just beat the Halifax Wanderers last night when they had every excuse to not. They are last in the CPL. They have the biggest game in club history. They could have played all the academy players, rolled over, had a nice little nap, and thought about their trip to downtown on Wednesday. But alas, they come in, play this really compact shape. They don't allow a shot on target until the 4th minute of added time. How that goal went in, I do not understand, but that was the perfect way to get yourself prepared for a final. Jordan Wilson, you called that match with me. When you think about everything that is going on around the club, this back-to-back undefeated in the league, ousting Atletico Ottawa, they're going into this final with confidence. Is there a glimmer of hope that in one match they can do something that would probably be a top 5 Canadian sports story of this decade?
Yeah, I'm going to say what everyone's been saying. It's a cliche, but of course there's a chance. I said 1.9. It's grown to 2% over the past little bit. I think, speaking to Martin Nash as well, just said you have to look at this match and get to halftime. If you get to halftime and it's 0-0, that 2% turns into 50 quick. Pressure rises, it's a different. I know the number I just said, but look, hear me out. It goes straight to pens. The way this is, I know you're looking at the firepower. BC plays the wide pitch, but if they could start well, Vancouver FC, if they could get to halftime, I personally will be nervous about the I will be 100% because I've seen stranger things happen. And yes, there's a small possibility. But the way they defended against Atletico Ottawa, this will be a mountain that they have to do against the Whitecaps. But the blueprint is there. I'd watch over that same match, how resolute they were. O'Connor won a bajillion headers. Capania was a different type of player. Irving made the saves that they need to. Everyone needs to buy in. And it was nice to see them do that against Halifax Wanderers at home as well. Look, I'm being hyperbolic. They shouldn't win. But David shouldn't have knocked out Goliath as well. Things can happen. Things could happen. So I like that we're just talking about this going into this match, not saying that they're going to get pumped 9-0.
Thank you.
There's a little bit of hope.
Exactly.
A little bit of hope.
Wills?
Well, not 9-0, but they're not winning this game. Like they're just not. I appreciate how they've had a turn in form. The manager change has certainly helped. They're a much more organized team. They're actually part of the problem that Ashton Goppy ran into was just chopping and changing too much to the point where they didn't have an identity. Now I think they have more of an identity. Some players have had a chance to settle, so it's a much different team than it was earlier this season. With that being said, they're extraordinarily young in certain areas. I know they do have some experience in this team, which will be a great experience for them. But look, it's not even on the surface of where Vancouver FC is now by virtue of where they stand in the Canadian Premier League, because they're not the worst team in the Canadian Premier League. They don't have the worst squad. They don't play the worst football in the Canadian Premier League. It's just the Whitecaps. Even with all those injuries, the football that they play has been so good. They're looking at a four-peat here. They understand that if they don't come away with silverware this season, what a disappointment this would be. Like, I just can't put it past the Whitecaps. I just don't think that they win this game. I think they win this game by multiple goals. Like, if they beat Forge 4-0 2 weeks ago, and Forge are, the gold standard of the Canadian Premier League, Vancouver, I know it's a special occasion. They can take the SkyTrain in. They can enjoy it, family and friends, and in their own backyard. All these things that are going to make the occasion really, really special. But on the field, they just right now, it's not just the CPL versus MLS. They right now are just in a very different place than what the Whitecaps are. Vancouver have aspirations to develop the consistency to go in and compete for trophies, whatever level they're playing at, year in, year out. The Whitecaps are already there. So the Whitecaps are right in about it. So, the Whitecaps by multiple goals in this game. I do not see there being a glimmer of hope, although going into this game, confidence could potentially make it more competitive.
Everything you said, Gareth, I agree with. But I'm with Jordan. Maybe I'm a romantic. Think of all the outcasts on Vancouver FC who were told by the Whitecaps, you're not good enough. Sorry. Go do other things. Wow, Ralph Priso has to defend his brother. Maybe Hugo Mbong torches Ralph for a couple. I'm just glad, like Jordan says, that we're going into Wednesday saying the Vancouver Whitecaps should win this match 99,999 times out of 100,000. But maybe Wednesday is that one. Tune in, 10 p.m. kickoff Eastern time, 7 p.m. local. It should be a fantastic evening.